Welcome back to Out with the New and In with the Old. Today, we're going to talk about caring for your new old car. Uh, all the people out there wanting to do this and get an old car, you're going to need to understand that you need to watch it closely if you want it to last. Keep in mind, the car probably has miles on it. It has a lot of years on it. And all you have to do is keep an eye on it. Watch everything. And we're going to go over what you should keep an eye on. If it sounds like a pain, it really isn't. Some of this, I actually think makes you get connected with your vehicle. I find that when I do a repair to a vehicle, I have to fix it, have to tinker with it, have to put my hands on it. As time goes, I get attached to it. It's become more mine than just something you just buy. I think that kind of relates to guys with hot rods too. You'll see a lot of guys that build their cars, and then a guy shows up with a brand new Mustang, and well, maybe his Mustang's faster, maybe it isn't, but it doesn't matter because the guy with the Mustang just went and handed over, his life for it. Doesn't have anything involved in it. And I think a lot of hot rod guys understand that. And I think anybody can understand it once they do it. Even if you're not a mechanic, that's the other part of it. You're not only getting involved with the car, but you're learning too. It's kind of fun. I mean, I really think it is. But anyway, let's go over some basics. We'll look at this heap of junk minivan I got that just keeps on going. Anyway, we got the basics here. We got an oil dipstick. I want that checked every time you fill up with gas. We got a transmission. Not a bad idea to check it every time too. All this is simple. You got dipsticks there. They're meant to be checked. You got a power steering reservoir. Check that. You got your antifreeze. Keep a close eye on that. That and the oil. The two most important things. You run low on either one of those, you're talking about damage. If you catch it in the beginning of running low, you discover where the leak is from, and you fix it. You got brake fluid back there, needs to be regularly checked every time you open the hood. Serpentine belt, keep an eye on it. Make sure it doesn't have splits and cracks. Now, you also are going to want to change the oil. And when I say change the oil, no, I don't mean look in the book and, it says to change it every 7,500 miles. Do not do that. Change it every 3 to 5,000, depending on what kind of driving you're doing. If you're on the highway all the time, you can probably get away with, 5,000 miles. If you're predominantly city driving, it'll be much better to change it at 3,000 miles. Transmission services, there's a little controversy on this. If you have previous paperwork showing it's been regularly done, or if the car has less than 100,000 miles on it, do a transmission service. And from that point on, do it as the book recommends. When they get well over 100,000, it's kind of dangerous to do it. I've seen guys do it and get away with it. I've done it and got away with it. But what happens is you stand a chance of getting debris into the valve body and causing all kinds of problems, and then the transmission doesn't work. That's why doing it after a whole lot of miles and it's never been done is bad. But these are things regularly. Check your oil, check your coolant, uh, transmission, regularly check it. You're looking at to make sure it's the right level. You're also looking to see if anything's unusual. You're looking to see, is there any moisture on that dipstick, that oil dipstick, or anything like that. You check your coolant, make sure it looks the same every time. If it starts getting some kind of different color to it, now you got to start diagnosing. There could be a problem. And like I said, with the transmission services, that's going to have a lot to do with how it's been previously taken care of. You're always going to want to listen for noises and smells. If you catch noises right away, a lot of times you can fix something before any damage has happened. Smells, same thing. You start smelling something, it could be an antifreeze leak, oil leak. Find out where that smell's coming from, and you can nip something in the bud. There was a guy in Long Island, New York. He had a Volvo, and a lot of people probably know about this. He's passed away since, but I don't want to say the wrong miles. I believe he had 3 million miles on the Volvo. He bought it new. It was a 66 or 67, and immediately he was doing a 125-mile commute every day in it, and he racked up miles on it. And it'd been in a couple of accidents over the decades of years he drove it, and but he said something that made a lot of sense. He was asked by a journalist, "Hey, how do you get a car this far?" He goes, "Anytime I heard a slight noise, I investigated till I found it and fixed it." He said it saved a lot of problems. So noises and smells. Always fill up with a half tank. That saves your fuel pump. Fuel pumps get hot, and they also suck debris from the bottom of the tank when you let them run empty all the time. You're not spending any more money. In fact, if you fill it up at a half tank every time, you'll think you're spending less. Psychologically, you won't be. It doesn't matter how you fill it up, how you spend the money. If you're driving it regularly, but the filling up at a half tank thing, it really saves fuel pumps. It's just better overall for the whole fuel system. It's fresh. You're getting fresher fuel all the time. Check engine lights. I like to see where they're coming from. You can buy yourself a cheap code reader, plug it in, and see if you can diagnose. I've driven vehicles with check engine lights on for years because I'd fix what they say and it would come back on, and I'd be, you know what, the car's running good, it's getting the right fuel mileage, it's performing right, and I'd let it go. Now, other times that wasn't the case. There's times that the car would stall every time. I had one Chevy with an EGR that went bad, and it threw the check engine light, and it literally stalled every time I came to a stop. And I could feel it didn't have quite the power, and it was the EGR valve. I replaced it, light was out. But there's other cases. It seems like the O2 sensors are the most common, and they say that they'll hurt fuel mileage, but I've never noticed. I mean, maybe in some cases they will, but in the cases that I cleaned or replaced them and put it all back in, I didn't notice anything when the light came back on and said O2 sensor again. And another thing to keep in mind is when you have a sensor show up, it doesn't mean that sensor's bad. It means something is causing that sensor to read bad. I mean, a bad set of plugs can cause an O2 sensor to go light up because you may be running rich, or unburnt gas is getting out there. So that's something where you may talk to somebody that actually knows about vehicles a little bit. If you don't, ABS lights are typically speed sensors. They're usually not a big deal. Simple fixes, usually. Um, Another thing to pay attention to is vibrations. Could just be an unbalanced tire. Could be a bad hub. Could be something in the front end. There's a number of things, and it's good to see where the vibration is originating from, because vibrations is rough on the whole car, or vehicle, whatever you got. So it's good to find out where it's coming from. And usually it's not a big deal. Usually. Bearings and hubs are relatively cheap and easy to fix. Wheel balancing is relatively cheap. Front end parts, if you do it yourself, it's relatively cheap. If you have to pay somebody, you still need to take care of it. It's just for safety reasons. Another thing that's nice to do, get a can of WD-40. Spray that hood latch. Let's go out here and look at this. I'm a big proponent of this because I see so many people break their release cables and everything else, and it's a pain in the butt to get in there. Spray all this mechanism with WD-40. Keep it nice and lubed up. All your door hinges, keep them lubed up. Anything that has a hinge or a catch, keep it lubed. It just saves you headaches down the line. And it's simple and it's cheap. And really, most of this stuff you should do on a brand new car too, because I've seen guys with brand new cars when we had newer cars, and on the forums, hey, oh wow, my car only has 600 miles on it, and it has no antifreeze in it, and it's overheating it. Well, you know what? If you're keeping an eye on it, you wouldn't have overheated it, and maybe the leak could have been fixed. But now, who knows? You might need an engine, at the very least, head gaskets. Anyway, I mean, all this stuff. When you nip stuff in the bud, you can surely save a lot of money, and you can keep these old cars rolling. Just keep your hands on them. Keep your hands on them. Another thing, like on that minivan, it's got front wheel drive. When you go under there and change the oil, or if you have somebody change the oil for you, have them inspect your CV boots. Those are the boots that go from the axle, from the wheel, into the transmission. And there's usually 2 boots. Have them look at it and make sure there's no tears in those boots. Once there is, you're usually replacing the axle. It used to be you could just replace the CV joint, but now you buy the whole axle, and it's not expensive, and it's not hard to do. But keep an eye on those. Every time you get under there, inspect those boots. But typically when they're ripped, the joint has already got dirt in it, and it's going to go bad. There's really usually no saving them. I know they got some kind of kits you can put a new boot over them without taking them apart. And I guess you could try that and see, if the bearing's still good. If it just happened that day, maybe you'll get away with it. But once a little dirt and dust gets in those bearings, they typically wear out pretty fast. Just looking to see. And another thing, when you change oil, get under there and look at the front end. All your connections, all your parts, and make sure grab a hold of them. See if anything feels loose. Anything moves more than it should. Have somebody, maybe while you're in there, move the steering wheel back and forth. Sometimes you can detect play that way. Just check, and if you have grease fittings, grease every single one of them. A lot of these new cars barely have any. Old cars had grease fittings everywhere. Ball joints, every part of the front end, U-joints, and new cars don't have any. I bought a 97 Ford pickup, brand new, and a week later, I'm going through a drive-through, and I could hear a creaking in the front end. And I took it to the Ford dealer. I mean, I didn't even have 1,000 miles on it, and oh yeah, that's the pitman arm. I'm like, okay, why is it creaking already? Well, that's something they told us about. I said, oh well, and I'm looking at it, and I said, oh, it doesn't have a grease fitting. I couldn't even grease it if I wanted. He goes, I said, well, there'll be a grease fitting on the new one. Oh, yeah, there will be. Oh, okay. And he puts it on. I go home, and I climb under there and look at it, and there's no grease fitting. So they just, they want that stuff to wear out, preferably after warranty, which it will, because there's no grease fittings. And it just, that's the way it is nowadays. Actually, that's the way it was 30 years ago, 97. But those were good trucks, good durable trucks. And you can put your grease fittings in if you get a kit. Or you can get a grease needle, which it's just a little needle, and you poke it into the boot, and you can grease inside the boot with that. I've done that, and it works. You keep your joints greased up. But like I said, doing all this to your vehicle, you'll get kind of like this neat connection with it. You'll feel like, you're involved with it. So it's not all bad. It's putting your hands on your vehicle is not bad. There's good to it. You get a connection with it. You feel like it's more yours than, just some new car you bought and never opened the hood, which you should anyway. But these are things, everyone should do. And making sure I'm not missing anything on my list here. When you buy a used vehicle, if you're lucky enough to get the owner's manual in the glove compartment, you go home that night, or whenever you got time, open that book up and read through the maintenance section. Read through as much of it as you can, because there's so many things that it'll tell you that are important. I get on forums of all different vehicles. I like reading what people, ask and what people answer. Learn something every once in a while. And so many people will ask a question, and this is even on new vehicles, so they had a damn owner's manual. But they'll, hey, what grade of oil do I put in? And the guy's like, you bought it new. There should be an owner's manual in the glove compartment that tells you what oil goes in it. It's just stuff like that. Open the owner's manual and read through it. You'll learn all about your vehicle and what you should be doing. The only thing I would recommend not listening to is the maintenance intervals. They're typically longer than they should be. And there's a reason for that. It's because of disposable products, that the less products disposed of over the life of the car, it gets some kind of rating. I heard about this or listened about it not that long ago. I didn't, I always wondered, what are they telling you to change your oil at 10,000 miles for? That's impossible. I mean, your engine will... Anyway, but that is part of the reason for that. It's a good part of the reason. Anyway, that's it for today. If you got any other things I missed, put them in the comments. But these are, the tips I could think of on taking care of your new old vehicle. So when you do get one, write these down, get the owner's manual out, and do what it says, and you'll get a lot more life out of that vehicle than if you just drove it and never opened the hood. And you'll get connected with it. Anyway, if you like this content, subscribe and press the like button. Thanks again. Have a good one.